Several weeks ago, I did a video about the Granberg Alaskan Mill that I got, and I mentioned that I had ordered a chainsaw, and I was going to do an unboxing video of the chainsaw, but when I opened it up I realized it was just, there wasn't enough there to justify a full-on video because it was just about completely assembled. So I skipped that, and instead I thought I would just show some of the first cuts that I did with the mill and the chainsaw. And the chainsaw that I went with, it's a Farmertec G660, which, as I understand it, is a knockoff of the Stihl MS660. Like, they're supposed to be able to be like part for part. You can just swap them in between the two saws. The big difference being that the Farmertec is like $900 cheaper or something like that. And where I don't have a ton of logs to mill and the reviews on it were really good, it just seemed to make more sense to go with the cheaper saw and kind of get started that way. And this is just one of the walnut logs that my brother-in-law had brought over. I've only milled this one so far, and there's probably one more cut I can take out of it. The rest, I think I've still got like 5 more logs to go. But before I do that, there's a few things I learned in doing this. One thing that's probably obvious if you watch me milling this up here, is I'm not exactly a track star, and I have a desk job, and I sit at a desk all day. And so for me, this was quite a workout, and it made me realize it's time to get back in shape, because that was just, I had to stop so many times to rest for my back. So hopefully in future videos you'll start to notice that I gradually begin shrinking. I've already started working on that, because I've got a lot of milling to do still, and I got the crazy idea that I want to try to run a marathon again next year. And obviously I'm not in marathon shape at this point, but I've done it before, so I know I can do it again. As far as first thoughts go, it was actually a lot of fun. I mean, obviously it was a lot of work for me, but I had a lot of fun doing this. I think these slabs came out around I want to say about 26 inches across, something like that. I don't remember exactly. And I milled them just a little over 2 inches. I think I went with 2 1/4, so that by the time I get my router sled out and flatten them down, they'll probably be at about 2 inch. And they're way too wide to go through my planer. I could maybe get them through my drum sander in 2 passes, but I think the planer sled will be good enough. And one thing I did that I think helped, and I will be improving on this idea in a soon to come video, is you'll notice that the rear end of the log is up on a few pieces of pressure treated 4x4, and that was so that I could have gravity work with me to help get the saw along, and also so that the whole thing would be a little higher off the ground. Since I'm in bad shape, it's just easier that way. And I'm going to make another one of those to go on the front, but one will be taller than the other by just a little bit, so that I can still have that gravity effect, that downhill effect, but I also want to have the whole thing up higher so that it's a little easier on my back while I try to get back in shape. The bar that I put on the saw is a 42-inch Oregon, and I've got a rip chain on there right now. I don't remember the brand. Forester, maybe? I'll do another video about the exact setup, because while I've still got several logs to go from this tree, and I've got what I think is a box elder that I'm going to be able to cut down and hopefully be able to slab that up as well, except it's much larger than this. I'll actually have to see if I can get a bigger bar and chain, because it measures, I think, 56 inches across. So that'll be a real test on this saw. I don't know. I'm going to cut the tree down first and see if it's actually worth slabbing. Part of it was cut a long time ago, and so I'm worried there might be some rot in there. And I should be able to get some white ash soon as well. There's a couple trees my father-in-law wants to cut down, do part of it as firewood and part of it as slabs, and they're about 2 feet across, so that could be fun. So far though, this is a lot of fun. Like I said, for me it's a lot of work, but I enjoy it, and I do look forward to getting the rest of these logs slabbed up. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks I can slab up the rest of them. I also want to make a winch for the whole thing to pull it along. I've seen that in several other videos, and in fact Granberg makes one that they sell, but I thought it would be more fun to put together my own. So I'll be doing that shortly, and maybe even making an auxiliary oiler for when I'm cutting the really wide stuff. And as cheap as this chainsaw was, I'm actually really impressed with it. It starts easy, it's got a ton of power. It took a little bit to figure out the choke system on it, but it runs like a champ, and it was like 350 bucks. And I'll leave a link to that saw on Amazon if you're interested and want to check it out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.